Congressman McHenry, there was a briefing today for Republicans, and Mariana, I know you've got some reporting on this too, but it seems to have gone sideways. It was administration officials talking to House Republicans, and Nancy Mace, not always the most consistent messenger in Congress. However, she came out of this briefing with some pretty, with a warning that I think raised some alarm bells. She says, I believe Trump's winning the war, but I'm very concerned about the deep state and the Washington war machine dragging this out to make Iran another Iraq. And I mean, when you listen to Barack Ravid and Jim Sciutto, you don't get the sense that, you know, we're at a clear-cut ending point here.
So a couple of things. So you have loud vocal voices that are so-called MAGA that are saying that President Trump is wrong about being President Trump. That's effectively their argument. This is always the argument that MAGA makes against the president when they have a disagreement. They always lose, though.
Well, because Trump is Trump and
yes,
not Trump.
And he has a movement that's built around him, and he defines the movement, not them. And so in this circumstance, you do have those skeptics that are loud. They're loud on the internet, they're loud on a few podcasts, and they're loud on Capitol Hill, but they are not the majority. They're a very small minority within the House of Representatives, point one. Point two, this administration and this president has a very atypical approach to foreign policy matters, right? You can laugh at this, but it's just a fact. He is willing to do deals with the most complex, potentially terrible people in the world in order to bring some peace and stability. The effort here was always going to be some person that has enough power within the regime that does have blood on their hands, frankly, that will have enough power to stabilize the situation in Iran. This is not about democracy in the Middle East. This is about the President Trump taking out a bad regime, replacing it with a better regime, not good, but better.
I mean, I will say, as sort of mixed as the messaging has been, no one has been saying we're going to bring democracy to Iran. That has not been part of the messaging. Mariana, what did you hear out of this briefing?
Yeah, I think, Congressman, what you said is there are minority voices. They tend to be the loudest ones. They're very eager to go out and speak directly to reporters. The majority, though, does listen to the chairman of the Armed Services Committee, and he came out and is upset. Like, I've heard from a number of lawmakers that they were pissed in that room because they are not getting the information that they need. And the chairman said, and he made clear, look, Republicans are going to stick by you all, but you need to give us more information. You need to give us more justification as to why troops are being sent over to the region. We need to know what is coming next. And that has been a tension that's been simmering for some time, but now you're really starting to see this is going to potentially bubble over. And what I have heard privately from a number of Republicans is if you do put boots on the ground, that is going to be a moment, a problematic moment where you might see Republicans maybe voting for a war powers resolution. Of course, we don't know when this could happen. Yeah. It could be in the coming weeks, but the tensions are definitely rising here.
Jeff, where are the politics?
Well, look, the politics of this are unclear at the moment. There's no doubt that the majority of the party, like the congressman said, is still with the president. However, the cracks are very obvious. These cracks are not being manufactured. So I think it depends how long this goes, obviously, but it's a risky political position, there's no doubt. But I do think everything changes once forces are on the ground in the region. And the reality is, at some point, the administration is going to have to pay for this. So Congress is going to have to vote on this, and that is going to be the ultimate authorization for this, yes or no. So the politics are fraught for this party, there's no doubt. But the president clearly is trying to look for an off-ramp to this. I think politically speaking, and just that's sort of who he is, the question is that's harder to find that off-ramp at this point than it was 4 weeks ago.
How does this cut for Democrats, Mo? Because, I mean, I think Jeff's right. This funding bill is really turning into, ultimately, from a political perspective, your up or down vote on whether you approve this war.
Yeah, 100%. And it's not a surprise that he's looking for an off-ramp, and every day it gets harder and harder for him to articulate what we're doing, right? Every day we're hearing a different response. You know, we obliterated their nuclear capabilities last summer. Now we're demanding that they end their nuclear capabilities. We declared victory last week, and now we're talking about maybe sending ground troops to the region. The ultimate question, and I guarantee every Democrat on the ballot this election, this campaign cycle, is going to be asking this question: how much are you, the American voter, willing to pay at the pump? How much are we willing to pay in national treasure? And how much are we willing to pay in American lives?
Yeah.
And this administration has struck, maybe they have a grand plan. They sure as hell have not articulated it.
It's not clear to me what that is, but we'll see. Barak Ravid, very, very briefly, Iran's foreign minister just said no negotiations are being held with the U.S. That obviously seems to contradict what we heard from the White House podium. Why is it that Iran wants us to think these negotiations aren't happening?
I think there are several reasons. The first one is, how do you define negotiations? One definition of negotiations is two parties sitting across the table from each other, exchanging positions, exchanging drafts. This is obviously not what's happening at the moment. What is happening is mostly exchange of messages through Pakistan, through Egypt, through Turkey, in an effort to reach an agreement on a meeting. This is why I think when he says there are no negotiations, I think this is what Arakji is referring to. I also think that it's really unclear who knows what inside the Iranian government. The situation is so chaotic, the communication breakdown is so big that it's really unclear how much Arakji knows about what's really happening. Is he the guy running the show? Is the Speaker of Parliament Kalibaf? I think that might be another reason, but I think that at the moment, one of the reasons that Arakji is saying that, and he's saying a lot of other stuff about where Iran stands at the moment, I think it all shows that the Iranians, for some reason, don't feel that they're under pressure at all. And I think it tells you something about what are the chances to reach a deal at the current time.
Yeah, it really does. Barak Ravid, thank you very much, sir. Always appreciate your insights.